Hi folks, welcome to Dogs Trains. In this video we'll be going over 722's restoration, where the project currently stands, my estimated timeline for the key milestones and completion of the project, plus how the locomotive could look when complete. But first, breaking news from Dogs Trains Rail Reports. 722's boiler has officially been mounted to the frame. Great Smoky Mountains Railroad has posted a few pictures on social media. Go check them out. The boiler arrived in Dillsboro on a flatbed truck from Strasburg Railroad Mechanical Services. The interior firebox is brand new, every stay bolt has been replaced, a new throat sheet was installed, there's a new fire door hole, flue sheet, and numerous areas have been patched. Plenty of other work has been done too. Frame repairs and other work has been done at the Dillsboro yard and precision machining in Strasburg, but finally, the frame is on the wheels and the boiler is on the frame. Here is a diagram I made that shows what has been restored so far and what is needed. Now, 722's full restoration timeline. GSMR acquired 722 in December 2000, and the locomotive was delivered on the 12th. The restoration project was first announced around May 19, 2023. In September 2023, they shipped the boiler, driving wheels, and driving boxes to Strasburg on flatbed trucks. On January 5, 2024, I was lucky enough to snap this picture of a trailer in Dillsboro loaded with 722's pistons, cylinders, leading wheel set, and some other equipment, all bound for Strasburg. In the summer of 2024, the crew at the Dillsboro yard cut the tender frame loose from the rest of the tender and brought in a crane to separate the two pieces. And on June 18, 2024, I documented the tender frame sitting on the sidetrack outside of the Dillsboro yard. After a year of work at GSMR in Strasburg, all the parts of the frame, wheels, and cylinders were put back together, completing a critical section of the locomotive in April 2025. This completed part of 722 was later spotted by some rail fans being shunted outside of the Dillsboro yard around August 18, 2025. 722's boiler was shipped back to Dillsboro on December 16, 2025, and secured back on the frame around early February 2026. Finally, this video, the one you're watching, was released on March 21, 2026, and this is what 722 currently looks like. That's as far as the historically accurate timeline can go. From here, I will have to predict it. On January 10, 2026, I released a special episode of Rail Reports that covered planned rail events likely to occur in 2026. Go check it out! In that report, I predicted that 722 would return to the rails around late March to early April. Here we are in March, and I don't think that prediction will hold up. So I've reworked my timeline to what I believe is a realistic and accurate version. GSMR has only given us early 2026 as a date for completion, so I will base my timeline on the current status of 722, similar projects, and events that GSMR would likely be hoping to restore 722 in time for. Keep in mind that this is not an official timeline, and it is subject to change. 1702's restoration began around late May 2014 and was completed on July 21, 2016. She was originally scheduled to enter service on the 22nd, but due to an overheated bearing, 1702 had to be repaired and entered service on the 26th. If we apply this exact timeline to 722's restoration, she should have been completed on July 16, 2025. But remember that 722 is bigger and needs a lot more work. So we'll bump it up a year, making July 16, 2026 the theoretical latest completion date. I think this is a very solid estimate, and I have good confidence that 722 will be completed around this time. But I want just a bit more precision, so without further ado, here is my estimated 722 restoration timeline. Looking in the background of the photos GSMR has provided, it appears that 722's cab has been restored. I also noticed a set of trucks from the tender that appear to be in good condition. Right now, through the rest of March into April 2026, the guys will likely be working on the interior of the locomotive, installing flues, piping, and necessary components for the first hydrostatic test. After the internal boiler and firebox components are installed, 722 will undergo a light pressure test, possibly in early to mid-April. For this test, they will use an air compressor to pressurize the boiler up to 120 psi and spray soapy water on the boiler and critical pressure components to check for leaks. If this test is successful, hydrostatic testing of the boiler could be conducted in late April or early May. Once hydrostatic testing is complete, more components will be added to prepare for the initial fire-up testing around late May to early June. I will also estimate that the cab will be added on around this time, and the tender may be completed. 722 could move under her own power for the first time in decades and perform a little test run in the Dillsboro yard. If that goes accordingly, the rest of June will be spent adding the finishing touches to complete the locomotive right at the end of June. 722 could possibly be sent on a longer test run, pulling a few hopper cars at the very start of July. And finally, I will estimate that Southern Railway 722 will debut around July 4th, 2026, just in time for the semi-quincentennial, and be put into excursion service after that. The Great Smoky Mountains Railroad is likely looking forward to including 722 in the 4th of July ceremony, right next to 1702, a former Army locomotive. In this case, that will give the guys at the Dillsboro yard 4 months to complete the restoration. What do you think? Can they pull it off? Or is this timeline unrealistic? Let me know in the comments. Even if this timeline is a bit too short, I have reason to believe that 722 will be in service by July 2026, August at most. Now, what about 722's appearance? GSMR has stated that 722 will be painted in her classic Southern Railway green. 722 will also be converted to oil burning, something that rail fans have done a bit of complaining about. But I'll quickly explain why 722 is being converted to burn oil. American Heritage Railways, the parent company of the Great Smoky Mountains Railroad and the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, decided to convert all of their steam locomotives to oil burning after a coal-fired locomotive at the Silverton allegedly caused a 54,129-acre wildfire and got the railroad into a ton of legal trouble. Coal is also more expensive and harder to obtain or transport to the railroad. 722's tender will probably look like this, and the ash deflector on the smokestack will no longer be needed and will likely be removed. Now, paint scheme. As stated, 722 will be given the classic Southern paint scheme, but the lettering on the side could be changed. In a best-case scenario for rail fans, the original lettering will be kept without any modifications. In a middle-of-the-road approach, GSMR could put their reporting mark on the cab, or they could keep everything how it is and put Great Smoky Mountains Railroad in the empty space at the top of the tender. But if they were going all out to make it known that this is a GSMR locomotive, 722 would look like this. Any of these are a possibility. It would be nice if 722 was kept as accurate as possible, but I couldn't blame GSMR if they chose one of the other options. If I had to guess which one, I'd say they would probably choose to write GSMR on the cab and keep everything else the same. But as you know, a locomotive's appearance can change over time with each new operating season, so I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually see another variant of 722's look. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.